So I just want to show my new bag. Look at it, it's so cute. I'm calling it a yuppie, and this is Yup, the yuppie. And the good thing about yuppie is if ever you're depressed, you can just be like, do you love me, yuppie? And it'll be like, yuppie, 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 yuppie. And it's very happy, and it's just a bag basically. But look, it's smiley. So yes, I really love this new bag. I was going to buy one like this the other day, but it didn't have a face on it and it was just multicolored. But I thought it looked a bit stupid. But then I saw this one and I was like, that looks so happy. So I have to buy it. And I'm glad I got this one because this one is so much better. Um, and but yes, so I was just thinking this morning about stuff that AJ Miller has said, the quality of people's souls and stuff. It's amazing how he's believing that he's teaching stuff, but I don't think he's actually teaching anything. I watched a video actually yesterday where the guy that had his eye apparently taken off, although this was a new video only posted today and he had his eye there, so maybe it's an old video from before. And I don't know why he's reposting old videos before he lost his eye. When has he actually lost his eye, or did he just lie about losing his eye to try and get sympathy or something? I don't know. um but um yeah, he was teaching a ceremony about Babylon, and doesn't know who Babylon is. She thinks Babylon is a nation. He's trying to get everyone away from Babylon, and leading everyone to Jesus and the importance of Jesus. And I was just thinking, I don't believe he has one clue who Jesus is. And just to say, it's not about your family, it's not about your life. Your life can't bring you happiness. Your this can't bring you happiness. Your money can't, because this everything in this world will just disappear, and after that you will have nothing. So you need to seek Jesus. He was just going on and on about Jesus, and I was just like, this is ridiculous, because you don't know who Jesus is. How can you be saying all this rubbish and believing that you're helping people when you're actually just destroying their life by saying that their life doesn't matter? Your life doesn't matter. All your things, everything that you have in your life, it means nothing. Forget about it. Only think about death. Basically, that's what he was saying, and it's just crazy. And AJ Miller was doing a similar thing. I can teach you about the quality of your soul and where you go afterwards, and I can and can help you gain a better connection with God. It's like, how can you gain a better connection with God if you don't know who God is? If you don't know how to actually talk to God, or just pray? That's not really talking to God. That's not physical. That's just something you're creating in your mind. You're creating a God in your mind. So it's like this world is just brainwashed to believe that the only thing that's important is the God of your imagination, and it's absolutely crazy. But I still want to promote him as being, the Christ, or the Jesus, not the Christ, the Jesus. I want to promote him as being the Jesus because he is what people want. They didn't want me. They don't want truth. They want someone that can lie to them about how the God of their imagination is so special that you've got to seek that God. And I don't know, like, why would he be the only one to be reincarnated, and yet his message is kind of shitty? But I'm glad that he is doing what he's doing. So I'm not saying don't do that. You have to build up a following somehow, and you have to, he can get a following because he is saying to people nonsense that they think is smart and intelligent. And the reason why they think it's smart and intelligent is because they're dumb. But yes, I am not going to do that. I am telling people the freaking truth, which is that if you want to get to know God, you have to get to know me, because I am God. But yes, I would love to have an interview with AJ Miller, but the problem is, if I did ask him, I'd question him on this. So who is God? You say you lead people to God, so who is God? What is God's favorite cocktail? What does God prefer to be called? Because he was saying in the video that he doesn't think that God has a name. God is just whatever people call God. And it's just like, well, if God is real, God would have a preference of what she prefers to be called. It's Anna. That is what I prefer to be called. I like it because I'm dyslexic and I can write it backwards, and I'm still spelling it the same way. And it's, I don't know, Anna. I don't know. I like the name. It suits me, I think. But yes, you would say, oh, your mum named you that. No, my mum did not name me that. I give people inspiration, and I gave my mum the inspiration to call me that. But yes, I he was talking about the quality of the song, and I was just thinking that he knows nothing about the quality of people's souls. You know, he has no clue as to why people are the way that they are. Why do some people have children and then get rid of the other parent and do their best to keep the child away from the other parent, even though the other parent isn't as bad as they make out? And well, that's because they probably had loads of lives as a bear, and they're feeling possessive, and they are copying what they did when they were a bear, which is to get rid of the dangerous parent and keep the child to themselves. And they would have done that for a real reason, because the other parent, male bears are quite dangerous, and and lions too. I mean, if you're a lion and you've had a father and you find a new partner, your new partner might kill your cubs, and therefore, if you're someone who's got kids and you are, reluctant to want to have another partner because you fear that something bad might happen to the kids, or you want to stay with your old partner because you don't like the idea of finding a new partner that might be worse for the kids. I that's where that trait comes from. And if you look at all the animal traits and all the things that you can learn from being an animal, this is the quality of the human soul. And I was also thinking, I like I like the idea of hugging someone. And if I was to choose the people that I would hug, I would choose Adam Levine, definitely. And I would say the reason why is because I feel like I have his soul. I feel like reminds me of the future and a world that's just better. But I don't really know what that what is. But I feel like his energy and his vibe or something about him reminds me of that. And and therefore I feel like, I don't know, that's just how I feel. And I like Eminem because I don't think Eminem has lived for 2,000 years. I was saying in the video that AJ hasn't had a life for 2,000 years, but when he had that life as Jesus, I think he had two lives before that. He was just a ruffian in one of them, and then I think he had another life where he went through a lot of abuse, like a lot of abuse, far more than the Jesus life. But through that, because of that life, I thought that I would, grant him the luxury of only having one more life and then coming back and living this life. So I chose him to be the Jesus character, but I chose him to be the Jesus character from a past life before that. Now he doesn't actually know that. He thinks he's only had two lives. In my story, if you only had two lives, then you're actually pretty underdeveloped, and um, you're not very smart if you've only had two lives. And but at the same time, if you've had four lives and you think you've only had two lives, you might see that as being quite an impressive thing when really it's not. And I just don't think he knows the full truth. I think he is lying about the spirit realm, because I don't think people remember the spirit realm. I mean, I haven't heard that many people talk about the spirit realm and be honest. I've heard a lot of people talk about the spirit realm and say that they've met God, so I know that they're lying. But yeah, when it comes to the spirit realm, I I've heard people say they see pearly gates and stuff like this, and if the spirit realm exists and there was pearly gates, why have I not gone through an experience where I've seen pearly gates? I have not seen pearly gates. I do not know. I do think that it's a likely that your soul just gets put on pause. And I think it goes into the sun. I definitely feel that that's I've heard the experiences and they see a white light, and I think that's true. Why? Because when people say that, I think of moths, and I think how they're drawn to the light, and I feel like the reason why they're drawn to the light is the same way that human souls, when they die, their soul is drawn to the light. Now, I do believe in ghosts. I've had loads of, probably about 13, 14 ghostly experiences when I was a child, maybe even more than that. I might have forgotten some of them, but you know, I know that some of the ghostly experiences that I've had, though, might not actually be a ghost, but rather just an echo of something. I spoke to someone in the jacuzzi a few months ago, and she said she and her daughter have seen ghosts. Their granddad used to sit on this chair, and that was his chair. And after he passed away, like a year or two later, they had an experience where they saw him sitting on that chair. Now, did they actually see him sitting on that chair, or were they just seeing a sort of echo of something that happened years ago when he used to sit on that chair? I think it's more likely that it was just an echo of something that happened. But at the same time, I have had an experience where me and a friend were in this sort of playground in my primary school, and we picked up a fork and it had a dead snail on it. I said, ew. My friend said, ew. And then we heard this like, ew, above us. And then we just looked at each other and ran. But that was a ghost experience. We both heard it. And it was something that was aware of what we were actually doing, because we had just lifted something up and were holding it. And, this, if it was just an echo of something that had happened in the past, well, why would it happen straight after we say ill? Why would it happen when we are both looking at something gross? So that one was a different experience, because it felt like if there was a ghost there, it knew what we were doing. It was seeing us, basically, which gave us shivers down our spine, and we ran off. But yeah, so I have had a few experiences, and they are different. But yeah, working out if the spirit can actually see you, or if it's just like a mirage of something that happened years ago, I feel like these are definitely two different types of experiences. But because I know that I'm Christ and God, and that my higher self is able to time travel, was that higher voice just my higher self being there and seeing what we were doing, and kind of watching over me, but trying to give me some experiences? I had a fixation with wanting to find out about ghosts and whether they were real. I watched all the most haunted shows, and I found that very fascinating. Um, did they actually experience stuff? I could definitely see myself wanting to be on that show as a ghost, and just like throwing stones around just to try and like wind them up. Oh, look, I threw a stone, and they're all scared. It's quite funny. I could actually see me doing that. So I don't know what to say about ghosts. But yes, I feel like it's really important not to lie about the spirit realm. Why? Because I don't know. I don't mind lying about things that I know are not true. If I start talking, is that necklace gone? The necklace is over there. If I start wearing that necklace and saying it's a portal into heaven, I know that's not true, because if there is some sort of portal into heaven, I'm only going to be taking the people that I like, and the people that I assess as being, worthy, nice, intelligent, smart people. If there is a portal into another world, I'm only going to take those people in there, and therefore I'm not only going to take the people that are walking around with a necklace that has a portal. I mean, that idea is silly. But if you believe silly ideas, then I'm encouraging you to go and seek something that has nothing to do with me. I'm God. If there is a portal to another world, I want the right people to go there, and not just the people that have just happened to come across this portal, or the people that just happened to wearing a necklace. So, but yeah, I was talking about the importance of the soul, and I don't know, but I can't be, because everyone has a different path. Everyone has a different path, but I feel like some souls, they do are attached to their past life, because it's part of who they are, and that's how I feel about Eminem, which is why I really like him. And I have been thinking about him recently. Like I'm yelling at people, and I don't want people to think that. There's this post about him ending his career and stuff. I don't want people to think that I'm yelling at them because I think the singers are deliberately trying to hurt me. I think the blue guys have also come into my head, like they're not doing things to deliberately hurt me. I know that. I'm being hurt because I'm being ignored, and I don't know why. And I feel like I'm trying to answer them. Why are you ignoring me? What is making you ignore me? And I can't get these answers. I can't get these answers, and they're just saying we are, because. And then I just hear nothing, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But I like Eminem because I feel like before, because I think he was the guy who wrote Leviticus, and he might have been someone who came back and lived to write the New Testament as well. I think he might have actually had two lives as a writer, but I feel like his soul was very, very developed 2,000 years ago. And 2,000 years ago, there was the number of people that were on Earth 2,000 years ago. It was easy back then, even though the life and the technology wasn't great. I feel like it was manageable. The number of souls, the number of people that were alive on Earth. I feel like it was more sense of a community. You had so many people, and you started to draw a sort of an attraction to some of them, and draw an interest in some of them, because you're like kids. You might not know really much about them in the first week, but as you watch them grow, you become more connected with them, and get to know them, and see different personalities and see different traits. And so 2,000 years ago, I feel like I was developing this with loads of them. And I think most of the singers are these people that had quite a few lives up until that point. when Islam came, I feel like that was when overpopulation started becoming a problem. Overpopulation is where I'm just like, this is too many. And I feel like at that point, even though the people who first became Islam are probably all Christian now and have probably moved on, there's because the population has grown and Islam has stayed, but the people that were forming Islam and living in Islam, they would have eventually moved as they had more lives. They would have eventually moved away from it, but all their kids and their bloodline, they would have kept staying in the country and kept staying, and new souls would have entered into this. And so the tree kept getting, imagine this, the tree being small, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And well, because people have loads and loads of kids, and then as soon as there's loads and loads of people, suddenly loads and the tree starts just going like that, and it's starting off really small and really slow, and it was all steady then. It was easy to manage, and so I like Eminem because I feel like his soul links to that, because I feel like he had his 10 lives um, before 300 BC. I feel like a lot of his lives were before 300 BC, and thinking about him reminds me of that. Even though his character and everything he's doing now is kind of a bit messed up, but I feel like I don't think of that. I don't link him to all the songs that he's doing. I'm not even really aware of what he's doing now. I don't really, I do listen to them, but he talks very fast, and it kind of just comes in one ear and out the other. So I'm not offended by his songs. I want to be clear that I'm not offended by his songs, because I really, it's just music. It's just music when it comes to him. But yeah, I feel like I would love to hug him, because I like the soul that his lives were all attached to souls that were to lives that were a long time ago. And a long time ago, even though the world wasn't a great place because you didn't have that much, people were happier, and there was less people, easier to manage. Things were much more simpler back then. And yeah, I liked back then, because I feel like now it's just too much. Like it's overwhelming. The number of people that are here right now is just overwhelming. The world is just taken over by antichrists and people that are inverted. um and I just, this world is just kind of like blowing my mind almost right now, because there's that many people here, and I can't think about it, but I like thinking about this, and I feel like Eminem reminds me of a time when when things were easy, and so I'd like to be around him just to get this. And this is what I'm talking about, the quality of people's soul. And you all have a path, and different people have different paths. I don't know why I can't sense Adam Levine's past, but I feel like I can sense his future more. I don't know why that is, but it seems nice. And Akon as well. I had a vision that he was a coloured slave, and he went through a lot of unfair persecution, but I feel like through that he has become a really strong person, and I feel like his soul and his energy and everything about him is just so strong, and I feel like I need that strength. So I would like to meet him and be around him, because um, I've gone through a lot of mental, not physical, but mental trauma, and I feel like if I'm with him, um, I can almost absorb some of his strength, and I like that, and so yeah. AJ Miller talked about the quality of people's soul, but he didn't actually explain anything. I mean, maybe he can. I don't know what his views are on this. If he does ascend for 9 months or something, before I ascend, because I need a time to know who's on my side, who knows what, and then I need a sort of time to forgive. I can't forgive, but I need to build an army, and I need to trust these people a little bit better than I do now. And therefore, I think I should go into just some sort of rest period whilst AJ Miller rules, and you could also get another bunch of mad people. I don't know how many mad people that think they're Jesus, how many mad people are not dangerous, not likely to kill anyone, and not likely to have sex with children. Are there any other Jesuses that are not, that are mad enough to call them Jesus, but not mad enough to do those things? I don't know if you want to raise them up, or raise up some false ones, or you could even raise up like Justin Bieber and see, he could have a vision or something, but he might lose his fans if he starts doing that. So I don't know what he would really want to do. And there's also the Mars guy from Mars, the band, the band. I named them Angels of the Son of God. Uh, I've actually forgotten the name. Mission to Mars or something. I don't know, something about Mars. Um, but yeah, I don't know if you want to raise those people up, and see over over see what just pro- get them to promote their nonsense or whatever it is, and then do interviews with people and say, well, this is what this person believes. How likely do you think this is true? This person thinks to get that God is this, that, and the other. I'd love to ask AJ Miller what he actually thinks of God. What favorite drink is God's? What does he? But at the same time, I think if I put all these questions in his head, he's going to realize that he doesn't actually know God. And I do actually want him to think that he knows God. Why? Because this is what all false preachers do. They think they know God. They think they're leading you to God when really they don't actually know God. And therefore, if I actually sat him down and asked him these questions, what is God's favorite drink? What kind of what does God like doing during the day and stuff? If I ask these questions, I think he's not going to know, and he's going to realize that he's teaching bullshit. So maybe I should not say these things, but and wait until after. But I'll wait until he's a bit more puffed up, and then start asking these questions. Um, but um, but yeah, that's um, that's just something I want to say.